Be prepared. Most people think they're fine because nothing big is happening. But that's exactly how this shift works. It arrives silently, through your body, not your calendar. Have you felt it? A strange tension in your chest around people you used to trust? A quiet sense of peace with someone new without explanation? That's not coincidence. That's Venus in Taurus beginning her work. And she doesn't test with chaos. She tests with comfort. This isn't about dramatic signs. It's about soft misalignments, emotional echoes, and energetic discomfort you can't justify, but can't ignore. The real shift isn't loud. It's cellular. And the truth is, your nervous system already knows who's meant to stay and who was only ever passing through. So ask yourself, are you still trying to reconnect with what the universe already unplugged? Because this time, your peace is the proof, and your body is the oracle. The test is already happening. Are you listening? It doesn't start with a thunderclap. It starts in the quiet, in the subtle dissonance of familiar spaces, in the pause before a conversation that used to flow, in the body, before the mind can name what's changing. This is how Venus in Taurus begins her entrance. Not with spectacle, but with sensation. A shift that feels more like a quiet refusal than a grand event. Your nervous system no longer tolerates what it once endured, and suddenly the people you thought were permanent start to feel like echoes. You wake up, and something's different. The same voice that once soothed now drains. The same routine that once comforted now feels suffocating. You're not broken. You're being realigned. Venus in Taurus isn't coming to gently ask you what you value. She's coming to reveal what you've been betraying in yourself. And she does it not through logic, but through the body's refusal to lie. Have you noticed it? A weight in your chest when you're near someone who says all the right things, but something in you still wants to leave the room? That's the shift speaking. You're not overreacting, you're recalibrating. This isn't a warning. It's a blessing in disguise. Because what's shifting now isn't just your preferences, it's your permission. The permission to no longer explain why something feels off. The permission to trust the discomfort as divine. The permission to let go without needing a villain. You're not losing people. You're being returned to yourself. Venus in Taurus rules the earthly plane. She doesn't speak in metaphors. She speaks in biology, in vibration, in energetic truth. And the truth is, your system is already sorting. That A in your shoulders after a harmless call. The way your appetite disappears after seeing their name on your phone. The sigh of relief when they cancel plans. These aren't mood swings. They're messages. Your body is trying to protect your peace before your mind can catch up. And here's the deeper truth. This isn't about them. It's about you, your alignment, your clarity, your capacity to hold only what resonates. Because the people who were once medicine may now be memory, and that's not failure, that's evolution. Venus is asking you a question, but not with words. Will you trust what feels good, Mom, or what feels familiar? Because what's familiar is the trap. And Taurus doesn't do traps. She does truth. She grounds what's real and lets what's expired dissolve. Without drama, without rescue missions, without trying to explain a vibration that no longer matches. This is the portal you're stepping through. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Because we've been taught to hold on, to fix, to wait for the ending to come with a bow and a moral. But some endings are simply silent permissions to move forward. No storyline, no resolution, just a body that no longer says yes. This is how it starts. Not with a decision, but with a sensation. Not with clarity, but with discomfort. And the only question now is, will you follow what you feel, or will you try to logic your way back into a room your energy already left? Because this shift is already happening. And if your body is whispering, it's time to listen. Not all endings are betrayals. Some are realignments. And some of the people you're missing right now were never meant to stay. They were meant to reveal who you are when they leave. Venus in Taurus isn't severing ties to hurt you. She's pruning the garden of your life so your peace can grow unchallenged. This isn't punishment, it's precision. And sometimes precision feels like loss. But ask yourself, was it really love? If your nervous system had to brace every time they walked in the room? Was it really connection if you were always second-guessing your value? Or were you just surviving in a space that once felt like safety, but has long stopped being sacred? Some goodbyes don't come with conflict. They come with a shift so quiet, it doesn't even feel like an ending, just a slow fade. The texts get shorter, the silences stretch longer, and your soul almost gratefully lets them drift. It hurts. But only the part of you still negotiating with the past. Because the truth is, you're not angry. You're not even sad. You're just finally ready to admit that they were never really coming with you. This is the frequency of Venus in Taurus. It doesn't cling. It doesn't chase. It listens to the soil, not the story. It senses when a season has ended, and it lets the petals fall without protest. You might think you're being too cold, too distant, too quick to let go. But what if you're finally being honest? What if you're finally allowing the door to close without waiting for someone to knock again? And here's what no one tells you. Letting go before closure isn't cruelty. It's spiritual maturity. It's trusting the silence more than the recycled excuses. It's realizing that closure is often a solo ritual, not a shared conversation. Because sometimes holding on becomes the betrayal, not of them, but of yourself. And Venus, she doesn't negotiate with misalignment. She doesn't give you a script. She gives you clarity, even if it looks like loneliness at first. So if certain people are slipping away, if certain relationships feel harder to hold, if your heart aches in a way that doesn't need fixing, but just witnessing, don't panic. You're not breaking apart, you're being set free. Some connections were contracts with expiration dates. They served, they mirrored, they taught, and then they released. And now your job is not to resurrect them, but to honor what they gave and keep walking. You're not abandoning anyone. You're just no longer abandoning yourself to keep someone close. And the strange part is, when you stop trying to fix what's dissolving, you make space for what's actually meant to remain. Not because it demands your energy, but because it meets your energy quietly, naturally, without resistance. That's the Venus in Taurus lesson. If something is aligned, it won't need convincing. And if it disappears when you stop overgiving, it was never rooted in love. It was rooted in your exhaustion. So let it go. Let them go. Not out of bitterness, but out of reverence. Some souls weren't meant to stay in the garden. They were just wind passing through, reminding you of the strength in your own stillness. Because the goodbye isn't always a wound. Sometimes it's a release. You don't need a red flag to know something's off. You don't need a breakdown to confirm that something's misaligned. Because your body, quietly, constantly, is already doing the sorting for you. This is how Venus in Taurus speaks. Not through logic, not through overthinking, not even through emotion. She speaks through feeling. Raw, grounded, undeniable. You walk into a room and suddenly your shoulders tighten. You smile through a conversation, but your chest feels like it's caving in. You hug someone you used to love, and when you pull away, you're more tired than you were before. This isn't anxiety. This isn't just a mood. This is the body refusing to hold what no longer resonates. And it's not personal, it's vibrational. Because you can't fake frequency. You can pretend with your words. You can justify with your mind. But your nervous system, it doesn't lie. Have you noticed it? Certain people feel heavier now. You leave them and need hours to recover. The laughter isn't wrong, but it's laced with an edge. The affection is there, but it no longer feels like safety. On the other hand, someone new enters your life, and your body relaxes in their presence before you even know their last name. Your breath deepens. Your thoughts slow down. Your system says, "Here, you are safe." This isn't magic, it's resonance. Venus in Taurus is pulling you deeper into embodiment. No more performative peace, no more talking yourself into relationships that your body is begging you to leave. No more romanticizing chaos because you're afraid of quiet. Right now, your instincts are louder than ever, not to scare you, but to guide you. And the real question is, are you still overriding your body's no just because your mind doesn't want to be alone? Because that discomfort you feel around certain people, it's not just a reaction, it's a revelation. Your biology is showing you who's aligned long before your emotions can catch up. And that's not betrayal, it's protection. Let go of the idea that knowing someone longer makes them more true. Longevity is not loyalty. Familiarity is not resonance. Time spent is not the same as energy matched. Some of the most sacred connections will feel like instant exhale. And some of the most draining ones will be rooted in years of history. But Taurus energy isn't concerned with history. It wants stability. It wants peace. It wants to be around people who make your body feel safe without needing explanation. And if you've been feeling off lately, if your sleep shifts after talking to certain people, if your appetite disappears after a meetup, if you feel tension without knowing why, believe it. You're not imagining it. You're just finally listening. This isn't about blaming others. It's about honoring yourself. Because you've spent enough time ignoring your own signals, enough time absorbing misalignment and calling it compromise, enough time performing calm in places your nervous system only felt panic. You don't need a reason to choose peace. You don't need proof to walk away. Your body is proof. Your peace is proof. And this season, that's the only evidence that matters. Because Venus in Taurus isn't asking you to make a list of who's good or bad. She's asking, who do you feel safe around when you stop performing? And the ones who meet you there, in silence, in softness, in stability, those are the ones who stay. Not because you need them, but because your soul no longer has to shrink to keep them. Your nervous system tells the truth before your lips ever speak, before you say, "I love you." before you say, "I'm fine," before you even know what's wrong. And in this Venus in Taurus shift, your nervous system has become your compass, because love, real love, the kind that's rooted, lasting, sacred, can no longer survive where your body feels unsafe. We've been taught that love is sacrifice, that it's holding on, fixing, enduring. But Taurus doesn't subscribe to that script. Taurus asks, what does your body do in their presence? Does it soften or does it brace? Because love is no longer just a feeling, it's a somatic experience. Venus in Taurus is reprogramming what you tolerate, not out of punishment, but out of protection. You can't say you want peace and keep sleeping beside tension. You can't beg for abundance and keep accepting love. That depletes your nervous system. Everything is connected now. Your relationships, your money, your health, your creativity. They're not separate pillars. They're threads woven from the same energetic core, and that core is value. So ask yourself, do you feel valuable in the spaces you keep showing up for? Or are you constantly proving, explaining, negotiating for crumbs? You can't receive what you don't believe you're worthy of. And your nervous system is the first to detect the contradiction. It tenses, it collapses, it scans for danger. Not because you're broken, but because your body knows when the soul is being underpaid. This is the upgrade. Love and worth must now vibrate at the same frequency. If someone's affection feels like a question mark instead of a shelter, it's not love. If their presence makes you doubt your voice, it's not alignment. And the more you stay where your value isn't honored, the more your system internalizes that signal. You'll start second-guessing yourself in places where you should be blooming. You'll feel scarcity where abundance once lived. You'll stop creating, stop trusting, stop receiving. Because your body mirrors your boundaries. And Venus in Taurus doesn't just whisper love. She demands integration. She doesn't want you to just feel adored. She wants your body to relax into it, to trust it, to stop scanning for betrayal inside something labeled connection. If love feels like labor, it's not rooted. If loyalty feels like loss, it's not aligned. You were never meant to sacrifice your nervous system to keep someone warm. You were never meant to finance someone else's peace at the cost of your own. So if you felt drained in your relationships, if your body shuts down around someone who claims to love you, if your spirit dims in places you used to light up, listen. This isn't failure, it's feedback. Venus is not here to decorate chaos with pretty words. She's here to build foundations. And the only love that lasts in this frequency is the kind that doesn't require you to abandon your body to receive it. This is your recalibration, not just of who you love, but of how you love. And more importantly, how you allow yourself to be loved back. Not every test comes with fire. Some come wrapped in softness, in almost right words, in halfway love, in warm hands that don't truly hold you. And that is the trap. Venus in Taurus brings the kind of clarity that doesn't scream, it hums. It doesn't ask you to fight, it asks you to feel. And just before your deepest alignment arrives, you will almost always be offered something that looks just close enough. The person who's kind, but never fully present. The friendship that's consistent, but subtly dismissive. The dynamic that feels safe, but never lets you fully exhale. It's not bad, it's not cruel, it's just not quite right. And that's what makes this test so dangerous. Because what's almost aligned can feel like comfort when you've been starved of truth. What's not terrible can seem like a blessing when you've survived betrayal. And the mind loves good enough. It rationalizes. It remembers the good days. It tells you, well, at least they're trying. But Taurus doesn't build on trying. She builds on truth. Ungrounded yeses, on full-bodied alignment. And if you're in something that feels just okay, where your nervous system never fully settles, where your joy flickers instead of expanding, you're not in alignment. You're in limbo. And here's the deeper sting. Most people fail this test, not because they're weak, but because they confuse familiarity with fulfillment. They choose the warm room over the unknown doorway. They choose the almost lover instead of risking being alone. They settle, not because they don't want more, but because they're afraid the universe won't send it. But Venus in Taurus, she doesn't reward settling. She's not here to dress up scarcity and call it love. She's here to show you that what's truly meant for you doesn't make you negotiate your intuition. So ask yourself, is this connection grounding you or confusing you? Do you feel held or managed? Does your body light up or quietly shut down? Because almost will drain you just as much as toxic. And at least with chaos, you know to run. But with good enough, you stay. You adjust. You rationalize. You lose yourself slowly. And that's the heartbreak no one talks about. Not the dramatic ending, but the slow erasure of self in something that looks stable on the surface. Venus is asking you now, do you want full alignment or temporary companionship? Do you want truth or comfort? Because this is the test, not of endurance, but of discernment. Can you say no to what looks like enough in order to wait for what actually is? That awkward in-between space you're in, it's not punishment, it's protection. Because the almosts, they're placeholders, and the real thing, it doesn't show up until you've cleared the shelf. This is where many go back to old patterns, back to the familiar ache, back to the, at least I'm not alone. But you're being asked to stay the course, to endure the silence, to not fill the void with what's available, to trust that the space you're creating now is sacred, not empty, sacred. Because Venus in Taurus isn't testing your capacity to hold others. She's testing your capacity to hold yourself. Love is no longer about who shows up. It's about what your energy does in their presence. And this is the revolution Venus in Taurus is whispering into your soul. We were raised to believe love is proven by consistency, availability, proximity. But what if that's not enough anymore? What if presence alone doesn't mean alignment? Because the truth is, some people are physically beside you, but your spirit has already left the room. This shift is asking you to feel more than you see, to recognize that resonance isn't about shared memories or conversations. It's about frequency. It's about what your nervous system knows before your mind can explain. Have you felt it? The dissonance in someone who once made your heart race, but now just makes your thoughts spiral. The quiet ache that lingers after a visit with someone you used to laugh with. The sense that you're performing connection instead of experiencing it. Venus isn't here to romanticize your history. She's here to reveal your truth. And that truth might feel like distance, like silence, like people you once held so tightly slowly becoming background noise. But don't mistake that fading for failure. It's refinement, because now you know the ones who truly belong in your life won't just fill space. They'll match your soul. They'll meet your gaze without needing you to shrink. They'll feel like breath, not burden. Some connections won't survive your healing, not because you've become cold or closed off, but because you've stopped tolerating anything that asks you to leave yourself to stay close. And yes, that might look like distance. Yes, it might sound like silence. Yes, it might feel like loss. But what if it's freedom? What if this space you're sitting in, this in-between, this quiet, this unknown, isn't a punishment but preparation? What if the love that's coming isn't here to prove anything, but to honor everything you've reclaimed? You're not being abandoned, you're being realigned. And some people, no matter how much you once loved them, were never meant to meet the version of you that's emerging now. Because she's different. She doesn't chase resonance. She embodies it. And the people who match that will feel like remembering, not effort, not confusion, not exhaustion. So let this be the new definition. Love is not presence. Love is not promises. Love is not persistence. Love is resonance. And when it's real, your body will relax, your spirit will soften, and your energy, it will say yes without you needing to speak a word.